So, hi, Corinne. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi there. Hi. Thank you for having me.
So, can we please start with you giving an introduction to yourself, your business, and what you sell?
I founded Lulu and Boo Sustainable Jewellery. My business is I make handmade jewellery. I use all recycled silver and gold, which I'm sure we'll talk more about. I wanted to create a brand that was really wearable for women. There was a bit of a gap in the market. I felt, or not a gap in the market, just I couldn't find what I wanted to wear. Um, I wanted something that really works hard for women. I put my jewelry on and leave it on. I never take it off. It needs to be sort of versatile. It needs to look great in the daytime, in the evening. It needs to be hard working. So it needs to be very sort of robust and great quality. And also, I was spending a lot of money on plated jewelry, which was just wearing off. And I was just sort of really, it became sort of disposable, but was quite expensive. I wanted to sort of learn to make jewelry to make things for me really, and I only use solid silver and gold, so as it never sort of tarnishes it, and it's forever jewelry. So that's the sort of fundamental basis of why I set Lulu and Boo up.
Amazing, thank you. So, tell me a little bit about how and why you started. So, you explained the why, but maybe talk a little bit about what you were doing prior to that, because I think it's a really interesting story.
Yeah, so I had my children when I was quite young, 22 and 23, the boys, and I subsequently had a daughter when I was 30, Lulu. Lulu is my daughter, and Boo is my whippet, who's snoring next to me now. So hopefully that's not too loud. Um, I was a midwife. I went back to university when the boys were 1 and 2. Having the boys really inspired me to become a midwife. So I was actually a midwife for nearly 20 years, partly in the NHS and partly when I was living in Germany with my husband in the army. So I did 8 years in Germany working for the British Army. Um, and yeah, so completely different career, but a brilliant career. I absolutely loved it. I loved making a difference to women and their families, and caring for them through such an important phase of their life. So that was incredible. Um, I decided to leave in 2016, and my two loves are actually dogs and jewelry. Um, and I set up a dog walking business, which is again completely different. That business is still running to this day. Very different business, and my husband actually works in that business now. Um, but a great business, and COVID came along. We weren't able to walk dogs, so there was another career swerve, and I ended up working for Public Health England through somebody that I knew. They needed people to work for them during the pandemic. So I ended up working on COVID as a project manager during COVID. But concurrent to that, I started to learn to make jewellery. And that's sort of how the jewellery journey began. I'll tell you more about that. It was just a chance meeting of a friend in the street, an old school friend, and she had a really pretty bracelet on. This was in 2018. And I said to her, "I love your bracelet. Where did you get it?" And she said, "I made it." And I don't know where I thought jewelry came from, factories, pixies and fairies. I don't know. So I started to do the evening class that she did. And then I just got completely hooked. So I sort of kept learning, and all through COVID, when we were going back to sort of the evening classes when we were allowed to. And I was doing more and more stuff at home, and then posting it on my social media, and then people were asking me where they could buy it. Um, and so that was a complete revelation to me, because I really only started to make jewelry so as I could make things, as I said earlier, to sort of fill the gap that I was finding with buying jewelry out on the high street. So yeah, people, and they weren't people I knew. They were asking, "Do I have a shop?" So So that's when I sort of took that jump, and when Lulu and Boo was born, really.
Well, that's amazing. And what year was that then when you actually turned
So
Lulu and Boo into a
I left
business?
my job at Public Health England and started the business on the 29th of January 2022.
Wow, so it's still relatively new, really.
Yeah, it's about 3.5 years old. Yeah, so it's been a complete roller coaster of a journey. Huge learning experience. I had no experience of running a product based business before. I had no experience of e-commerce, marketing, all of those things. That, the dog walking business is a very different business. It's a very simple piece of software where you know administrate your bookings, and then you just go out and walk. This is a very, very different beast, and so much to learn. But I've alongside learning to make jewellery, I've really, really loved the learning to run a business side of things.
That's amazing. And what a story. I have to be honest, I didn't even know, and this sounds really silly now, but I will admit it anyway. I didn't even know that you could go to evening school and learn how to make jewellery. I don't know how I thought you learned, but that
Yeah.
wasn't it.
I mean, there's so many different journeys. Some people will come out of school and go to uni and do a jewelry design course. There's so many different avenues within it. You can do very traditional jewelry making. There's a lot of computer aided design in jewelry making now, so people can learn how to design jewelry on a computer and then have like a 3D print done of that and a mold made of that print. And so there's all sorts of different exciting avenues to follow in jewelry making. You can be a stone setter, for example, so you could have a specific a specific role within jewelry making, or be a jewelry designer. So I sort of do a bit of all of it, really. I've sort of learned, but my jewelry is quite specific, so I stay in my lane, and I'm good at some things and I'm not good at other things. So I'm really happy to outsource to people to help me. So, for example, I don't set my own stones because I just hate it. I've tried and failed, and it's just not for me. So I send it off to a stone setter, so as I know the stones are nicely set and will be nice and secure. So yeah, it's a vast industry, really, and quite exciting for young people. Well, quite exciting for anyone to get into.
And do you need a lot of specialist equipment? So is it like, do you have to buy an equipment or is there somewhere you can go and do this? I know, sorry for all of these really basic
Oh,
questions, but for
no, no.
anyone listening who's like, oh, that sounds really interesting, it's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, there is quite a lot of equipment. It depends the jewelry that you make, what equipment you need. Um, I have sort of just built it up as I've gone along. So as I've learned a new skill and I've needed a new piece of equipment, I've bought it. I also teach, so I do little workshops where people can come and make their own jewelry, so rings or bangles, and they are amazingly popular. They always just sell out. They're fantastic. So of course, then I needed sort of four of everything. So I've really just sort of built everything up as I've gone along. You can go to jewelry studios, and it's called bench hire. So you can hire a bench for the day that would be set up with all of the equipment that you need. So that's a really good way for somebody that perhaps doesn't want to invest loads of money in loads of tools to get into, just getting started, and then, making sure that they're 100% sure before they invest. But there's great little starter kits that you can buy, like student kits for sort of a couple of £100, which has everything in that you would need to just sort of get started at your kitchen table.
Well, that's brilliant because that was the question I wanted to ask actually is how do you fund a bit like a business like this in the early days? Because obviously you're needing to buy materials and equipment. How easy is that to do?
Yeah, it's been quite organic. I mean, obviously, I've invested little bits of my own money when I've needed to, and but it's been quite organic. The sales, I'm really fortunate in women really connected with my designs, and my sales have been really strong, which I'm, so incredibly grateful for. But that has meant that the sales have been able to fund the growth, really. So it's been quite organic. I haven't had any investment as such, formal investment as such. I do take advantage of things like Shopify loans. So my website is on Shopify, and Shopify will offer you a loan depending on your sales. So they used to offer me sort of quite little loans, and maybe I would take it out at Christmas just to fund sort of Christmas stock. And then as your turnover gets bigger, the loans become bigger. And then there's obviously a cost implication, but it helps with cash flow. Um, the the money is taken back directly from your sales. So you haven't got to sort of worry about another direct debit or something. It comes straight out at source. So that's been really helpful as just a little sort of leg up funding wise. But otherwise it's been organic, which I've been, really, really lucky to be able to do.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I'd never heard of the Shopify loan, so that's really interesting.
Mm, mm.
That makes a lot of sense as well if that's the platform that you're using. Yeah, that seems like a good
Yeah.
solution just to
Shopify's
bridge a gap
brilliant.
maybe.
Yeah, if anybody's thinking about, Wix, Share, Squarespace, blah, 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 different platforms and e-commerce platforms, I would 1,000,000% recommend Shopify. It's really user friendly. I have my website built for me, but I can do the back end by myself now, so I can add products and you know write blogs and change things if I need to. It's really, really user friendly. It needs to be because I'm not a technical person. Um, and the interface with other products are very good. So if you need like plugins for maybe like a pop-up to offer like a 10% discount, or email marketing, so Klaviyo really feeds well into it's just set up to work well for e-commerce, and I would highly, highly recommend Shopify.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for the recommendation. I really like Shopify as well, I have to say. I just think it's, as you've said, so easy to use, so easy to customize. And actually, I think most of us, without any external help, could probably get on there and get some sort of website up, even if it was very basic.
Yeah, 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 100%.